In Australia, the opposition party is trying to make same-sex marriage the law of the land. Current law only allows for a man and a woman to marry. But now the Labor Party is backing a proposal to overturn that law and recognize same-sex marriage. Prime Minister Tony Abbott heads the Conservative government, and he's a former Catholic priest. He staunchly opposes gay marriage. Bill MUEHLENBERG is an American who lives in Australia. He writes about Christian family and cultural issues in a weekly column called Culture Watch. He joins us now by Skype. Bill, why did the Labor Party choose this time to try and change this law?
Well, they've actually been trying for some time now. It was just the recent Irish decision to accept homosexual marriage that caused them to try again. We've actually had perhaps about 15 different bills in the last 15 years, either state or federal, often by the Greens or Labor Party members, trying to get homosexual marriage in. All of those have been defeated so far. We've had to fight every one, but with the Irish success, I guess they felt yet again they will try to ram it through.
Some Aussies say this is directly aimed at their prime minister because of his Catholic background. What do you think?
Well, certainly they're playing that sectarian card here. Both the secular media and the left-wing parties are trying to say it's only because he's a Catholic that this is being resisted. But of course, I would say the majority of Australians still are against redefining marriage, which means to destroy marriage. So yeah, they'll use every nasty trick in the book to try to get their agenda through. But the case, of course, for traditional marriage can be made without any religious appeal if need be. So we've done both and will continue to do so.
Bill, how strong is that support for traditional marriage among the Australian people?
Well, whenever there's a newspaper poll or survey, admittedly not perfect, but they still have a majority supporting traditional marriage. So it's always a bit tricky when you have these surveys. It depends how the question is asked and, you know, the way you pitch the questions. So you'll get numbers on either side depending on who's doing the polls and how the question is asked. But I think still the majority of Australians are concerned about keeping marriage as it is between one man and one woman.
And I know you follow regularly what is happening in the U.S., and we've seen this issue divide the church here. Where does Australia's church stand on gay marriage?
Well, sadly, much the same. You have the weak leftist social justice, so-called churches who are all in favor of this and a host of other radical causes, but the majority of conservative evangelical churches, certainly the Catholic Church, would be against. So it's the same problem. I think in some ways this is a real sheep and goats type situation where we're seeing now pretty clearly where the true believer stands, where the true church stands. Those who are coming out in favor of destroying God's institution of marriage and family, well, that's a good indication where they stand, and they may not be of him. Whereas those who are still defending marriage and family and upholding God's heartbeat on all this, it's a good indication as well of where they stand. So if anything, this kind of polarizing effect is at least separating the wheat from the tares, I guess.
And an unprecedented ruling coming in a matter of days from the U.S. Supreme Court as it releases its decision on gay marriage. Will that decision have an impact in Australia and other countries, Bill?
Oh, there's no question it will. Just as the recent Irish decision was used at least as an excuse for the left in Australia to push for this. If America goes, then yeah, everybody will be jumping on board saying, look, America has done it, now it's time for us to do it. So it'll be a huge decision. And of course, as you know, it'll be a big issue in America with probably Christians needing to now think about things like civil disobedience when they're being forced to go against their own faith, their conscience. Christian small businesses, churches, and so on, they're all going to be impacted. I mean, mind you, we still keep in mind we've got about 20 nations out of 200 plus, so that's still 90% of the world is not going down this path. But when America does something, other nations tend to take notice. So we certainly need to keep praying for the American situation.
Okay, I'm sure you'll be keeping a watch on it with Culture Watch. And we appreciate you, Bill. Thank you. Bill Muehlenberg, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.